Welcome into the Perch, our official postgame show here on the PHNX Cardinals podcast, presented by the DraftKings Sportsbook app and official sports betting partner of the NFL. The Cardinals fall to the LA Rams in a big-time, prime-time letdown, 30-23 the final, and the Cardinals have now lost 3 straight out at State Farm Stadium. And they've only had 2 primetime matchups, both of them coming down to the final drive with the Cardinals having a chance to either tie or win the game, and both times the Cardinals unable to get this one done. But there were a lot of things that went wrong before that final drive even happened, guys.
Look, it was an exciting game only at the end, though. Primarily, it looked like the Rams had control of the game. They came in with a better game plan. We got out-coached, and we got outplayed.
Absolutely. I mean, we talked about the game plan beforehand. We talked about the bend, not break mentality of the defense, and they definitely broke today when it came to Matthew Stafford and the passing game.
Yeah, I just don't know what it is. I think that's like my initial reaction here. I just don't get it. I don't get why they don't seem like the same team most times when they're at home. And Frank and I were looking up a stat after Kyler threw his second interception, and we were like, how many times has he done that this season? So we took a look back. He's done it 2 other times, both of them at home. Vikings and against the Packers, and then now here against the Rams. There's just something about playing at State Farm Stadium where we're just like, you know what are they doing?
Yeah.
Home field always causes distraction. Monday Night Football, prime time, you need more tickets, you got more people coming to the game, and the pressure of performing on Monday nights or just at home is not the same. Look, there was a lot of things that happened this week. Woody Baker had a first child. Some other people had situations.
Oh, that's nothing.
Well, I mean, but these are distractions, little distractions that you find yourself seeming like these things enter in. This is still a young team. They don't know how to win. They're just winning off a lot of talent. They're putting up 30 burgers against a bunch of teams. On the road, their schedule is so strict that you don't have time for anything. But when you're at home, there's so many more distractions, so many more things that's happening.
But
and I feel like those things are still factors when it comes to
Why am I just not buying that?
No, well, here's the thing.
What more could you possibly have to motivate you to focus in on this game?
Here's the bigger thing is they're going to get to the playoffs that's filled with distractions, right? Like, so there's all sorts of pressure. There's all sorts of storylines. If they can't live up to a primetime game on Thursday night or Monday night, then what are they going to do when the playoffs come around?
Well, that's the part where you hope every game you're learning, every game you're growing. But right now, you're still searching for an answer, and the answer is still the same thing. They're coming up short at home. And it's not necessarily they're playing bad. Well, Kyler's playing bad at home. Why are you playing bad at home? Because you're giving up 2 picks on something you don't do. The defense tonight, that's literally just got it handed to them today. Totally different defense we've seen a couple of weeks before. But guess what? The little things start showing up, like the little penalties at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Things that start showing up, and you start figuring out what these guys are doing. So, to me, the only thing I always say is that if you get beat physically, that's one thing, and that happened tonight. We literally got beat physically, offensively and defensively. That's that. We got out-coached offensively and defensively versus, again, that conversation between McVay and Kliff. Well, we saw it tonight. It happened. We did it the first game. They came back with a better game plan, and they executed the game plan. But the distractions, the little things that we just don't see that start to show up. Kyler didn't look the same, did he? He wasn't crisp. He made a lot of mental errors. Kliff didn't look the same. He made a lot of mental errors, things that we thought that he could have done as a coach that have been different. It didn't happen today. And again, that's why I still say this team is young, and when you're at home, this is when those little distractions start to come out, unfortunately.
Well, admittedly, I was a little frustrated when we began the post-game show. So we are out at the Lola. I want to kind of set the scene for you guys. We had an amazing pregame tailgate leading up to the game. Had a great time watching it. An unfortunate outcome, but we are still out at the Lola. Everyone out here has been fantastic. I'm Chierstin Susel. This is Frank Sanders, Derek Montilla. Let's just make sure that we get that out of the way.
We're all angry. Yes, but whatever.
Espo has a question for you, Frank. He's asking, question for Frank is how sloppy the final drive was on Kyler or Kliff?
It was on Kyler. But you just got to. So again, every action there's a reaction. What the Rams are doing is that they did exactly what they were supposed to do. They put pressure on the outside ends. they made sure they put Kyler on the inside.
Right.
Because the Murray magic happens when you get on the outside.
Yep.
So
Von Miller was especially good at that tonight.
And tonight, the interior linemen did their part, but it's just sloppy play. It's not as good as you like to see. The fourth down, the play where he could have spiked the ball and gave himself a chance, that was on the table. There was bad throws that were just happening that wasn't crisp and clean. This is one of the times you look at these little small things. Why are you taking your helmet? This is stuff that you just look at. Why are you taking your helmet off every time you make something bad? Why is it this moment? Why don't you just run to the sideline, take your helmet off, and address these little things there? This is the little stuff I pay attention to that you guys might be like.
Wait, I didn't pay attention to it, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Every time Kyler had a pick, he would take his helmet off and then take his helmet off.
Like on the field, is what you're saying.
On the field, take his and then take his hair off. Like, why? Like, this is little it that shows up that you say, like, that's different.
Yeah.
Like, that's different.
Yeah, just run off the field and deal with it on the sidelines.
That's the stuff I look for as a player.
So what are you saying? Is that immaturity or what?
That's the stuff that I say. This is why this team looks like they didn't come to play. They got out coached. They got outplayed. And as for those are I say it's on Kyler because he's on the field. Typically in those situations, the quarterback has control of what he's calling for the most part. The coach calls some plays in, but this is 2-minute offense. We tend to know what we're running. You got 35 to 48 seconds to make this thing happen. And it just wasn't crisp. It did not look good. And I think the pressure that they was creating was allowing him not to see what he normally sees. He didn't have that. He didn't have what he normally has, which is a front that gives him a wall in front of him. The Rams came and put pressure on him that was different. They were the team that we expected to be in week 4. They did everything they were supposed to do.
Yep.
And now we saw our quarterback slightly rattled, and that's just exactly what it was.
Aaron Donald was disrupting their game plan.
Three sacks.
And then you have the fact that the Cardinals secondary couldn't do anything defensively against Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp especially, right? But you also have to tip your cap to Cooper Kupp because he made some amazing catches today, catches that most receivers couldn't potentially make. And it was just a tough day at the office. I think, we talked about previously how they kind of gave up on the run game a bit in order to stop Stafford in the secondary in the previous matchup. Mm-hmm. Tonight, it didn't seem like they could do much to stop Stafford as far as defensively.
I felt like, I said this pregame. I was like, one of my keys to the game is do what you did in their first meeting, and that was take away Cooper Kupp. He had, I think, 5 receptions for 60-something yards, 0 touchdowns. They took him away. And I felt like, hey, do that. It worked. Do that again. Okay, you've got OBJ and you've got your backup running back. And, okay, bend a little bit, don't break, use that mindset, but take away Cooper Kupp. And I wanted to see a double team on him, and we didn't get that.
Yeah.
And it was frustrating to watch.
Not at all. He probably got double teamed maybe 3 times tonight. Cooper Kupp, 13 catches for 123 yards, 1 touchdown. Matthew Stafford, a little bit under 300 yards with 3 touchdowns. Look.
Touchdown that there was no, Marco Wilson did the best he possibly could.
That
was an incredible throw and an incredible pass. So I'll give that to him.
That's good on good. Our good just got you that time.
Outgooded, whatever it is.
Outgooded. That's a
well, and OBJ was doing such a good job. He was keeping the defense honest, right?
Yes.
Like they couldn't double on Cooper Kupp because OBJ was available and he was doing a good job of catching the ball. Like the Rams did everything right tonight. The Cardinals just didn't have an answer for them. It seemed like. You could blame it on Kyler as far as coming out, but defensively giving up 30 points seems very uncharacteristic of the Cardinals and their defense this season.
If you are watching on Twitter, we would very much appreciate it if you would click our YouTube link, head over to YouTube and watch it there. It'll help us out a little bit. Nay's saying Stafford was just laser focused on Kupp all game. That was their main game plan. And you would think, you've got one of the best receivers. Cooper Kupp is no schmuck. He's one of the top receivers in the league. I think he leads the league in receptions. Phenomenal player. Why would and what you did taking him away the previous meeting worked.
Yeah.
I just don't understand. Obviously it's easy for us to just kind of sit here and pick it apart. We're not doing anything, but that to me was just the most frustrating part. Why you would allow one guy to carve up your defense the whole night.
It was sad to see, knowing what we were capable of doing, and to watch our defense go out and give him up 13 catches. Again, the kid, he's amazing. He runs great routes. He's nothing short of amazing as a receiver. After he catches the ball, he gets upfield and makes things happen. Cooper is absolutely deserving of all the accolades he's gotten. He's at over 100 catches before he got into the game.
Yeah.
He has 113 now. The NFL record for one season is 146 catches held by Thomas over at the Saints. Look, Michael Thomas at the Saints. This is the difference. The system goes through him. Tonight they implemented Sony Michel, and that running game created the difference. It created balance for his offense, something we hadn't necessarily seen. This is the best game plan out of the last 6 games I have watched the Rams do.
They were great.
They were great tonight.
And Matthew Stafford looked like the Matthew Stafford they were hoping they were going to get.
They didn't put a whole bunch of pressure on him because the balance of having the running game forces Buda Baker and Thompson to come downhill, which leaves some things opening in that one-on-one scenario. A great game plan. We got outcoached physically and mentally. We got outplayed offensively and defensively. And the sad part about it was we had a chance. We put ourselves in a position where we gave ourselves a chance. Of course, Kliff not calling the going for it on 4th and 1 with the opportunity with James Conner. Would you take that again? Probably yes, because it's James Conner. Yeah. He's having a great game. He's got 2 touchdowns. You feel like just 1 yard you could get, and it didn't go our way. And they got the ball back and made something happen.
Yeah, James Conner has been consistently able to get 2 yards plus, on a carry, and I wouldn't have gone against it, but at the same time, defensively, they got themselves into a hole, and they had no choice but to kind of get desperate on the offensive side of the ball there at the end of the game. You could blame Kyler because Kyler did not have he wasn't on point tonight, right? He had 2 interceptions, could have had 3. One was almost gift wrapped to the defense as far as a 3rd interception goes, but he still balled out and he still did everything he could to keep the team in the game. It just, I think when you get down to the end of it, it really was just too much to overcome. And, again, the Cardinals, I think, have been used to playing, on the other side of things, right? Yeah. All year, where they're up early and they're basically running the game. They're dictating the pace of the game. And this was not their game to do that.
Well, you mentioned James Conner, and if there's been one bright spot in every single game, it seems like this entire season, it is James Conner. Absolutely. And he is, for sure, our DraftKings Sportsbook app king of the game. He had 116 total yards and 2 touchdowns. He had 13 carries, 8 receptions, led the team in receptions. He has had 16 total touchdowns this year, including 14 rushing TDs. He is on pace to have potentially a franchise record season. And we talked about this team being out physicaled. James Conner was one guy who played physical all night long.
He gave it to him. He left everything on the field. Unfortunately, we saw the last couple of plays. He seemed like he came up lame a little bit on the second to the last play. Hopefully he's okay, and we'll keep him we'll look forward to, he'll get through this week, and then we'll get ready for the Detroit Lions. But truthfully, he is the bright spot of what's taking place. He looks absolutely healthy. He looks like he's physical. He's ready to bring the wood every game. And just as a receiver tonight, I was absolutely impressed. Caught balls one-handed, made guys miss, got up the field.
Just like a deep ball too, like not even a little like dink and dunk. It was
He looked great tonight. I mean, he came ready to play. And look, when you're playing your division opponent, there's always something special about that moment because you see him twice a year. It's a rival moment. Unfortunately, we didn't come away 2-0 like we wanted to. We wanted to have a sweep in the series versus the Rams this year. It did not happen. We're 1-1. We're still top of division. We're still in a good spot, so let's not, throw the baby out with the bathwater just because it's not at home. We're still a playoff-bound team. That's a good note.
Yeah.
And these are the things that we still can look forward
to. Well,
to.
Chierstin and I have talked about this, right? How your point of view changes over the course of the season, right? At one point, we would have killed to have this team have 10 wins in a season like they're currently at, and we would have been happy to take them making the playoffs. When you're actually at this point, you want them now to be the best. And really what we saw tonight was the Rams stepping up to play the team with the best record in all of the NFL, right? And really that's kind of when they were undefeated and when they have the best record, that's the target that's painted on your back is every team is going to step up to play you well. And I think that's exactly what we saw out of the Rams tonight.
Before we move on, to go along with our DraftKings Sportsbook app king of the game, If you do download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now using the code PHNX and bet $1 on any team to score, you're going to win $100 in free bets if they do. If they score, you score. Again, using that promo code PHNX with the DraftKings Sportsbook app, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. But as always, it's 21 and over, Arizona only. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. New customers only. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. And Johnny Venerable is out at State Farm Stadium. He is unable to join us live, but he is messaging me some notes while Kliff Kingsbury is talking right now, and he had a tongue-in-cheek kind of response when he was asked about the importance of winning out to get home field advantage since, hey, they've lost their last 3 games at State Farm Stadium, and he joked, as of now, I'd probably want to lose every week to avoid getting that home field advantage. And I mean, we can all appreciate.
We can all agree to that.
Yeah,
we can appreciate his sense of humor as well. But hey, this is the biggest thing for me, and it was my final thought of our pregame show was this one should be for the fans. And once again, just a disappointing performance. And I know everyone's saying, there's still a lot of games, and they've only lost 3 games. And but to me, this stadium behind us, not Gila River. Not Gila River Arena, the stadium that's on the other side of Gila River Arena. It means something to me. When the Cardinals are out there, they should take pride in it. I'm sure that they do, and it means a lot to them to protect their home field. But dang it, they haven't done it, and that is the biggest thing for me.
That is, you know what? Just everything you just said, I agree. Our comment section is loaded with a bunch of our followers and people who've just been a blessing to us this entire year. Those who subscribe, those who also chime in consistently. Look, thank you for that. And you're right. It is for the fans. This would have been a great heartfelt win.
Yeah.
Knowing what you had just done versus a division opponent that has owned you. They come to your house. You beat them. You put yourself in another light, which is they want the media attention. The Phoenix fans want the media attention, and they deserve it. And unfortunately, it just didn't happen tonight.
Espo made a good point in the comments. He said, was it just me or did A.J. Green have the most frustrating 107-yard game? And that is so true.
And
like,
Jacob
it doesn't
adding
even
to
say.
it, Kyler almost threw for 400 yards as well.
Right.
I mean, I think Johnny, if he was here, he would say that is like the most empty stat you can get because it doesn't translate necessarily into touchdowns.
Sure.
And so you could throw the ball all over the field, you could catch passes all over the field and rack up that stat, but at the end of the day, doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Absolutely.
Now, both of you guys are right. It lets you know they came to play. They had an opportunity. They put themselves in a position to try to give their team a chance to win. It is an empty stat with a loss. Everyone in that locker room right now feels like nothing I did tonight was good enough.
Right.
If I had DeAndre Hopkins had dropped the ball, which is like what? Like he dropped the ball. Like,
that was his first drop pass all season long. You get to week 14, you haven't dropped a pass, and all of a sudden, it could have been for a touchdown.
It still almost resulted in a catch by Christian Kirk. It was so close.
But that's the part where you start feeling like, really, like, bro, like that's the part where these little things they show up. All these guys will go back and work extremely hard to rectify the situation. They'll be honest with themselves and the film, and they'll address those issues with themselves and try to rectify the moment and get ready for next week. And that's really all they'll have is to soak this up for 2 days and then get ready for Tuesday's practice. You'll be there asking the tough questions, and then we'll see exactly.
That's one way to put it. I do ask questions. I don't know if they're the tough ones.
She does. Well, she asks about Frank's tattoos, but Frank, I wanted to ask this. I mean, is it realistic to say that like there's still a lot of character building that happens in losses as far as moving forward towards the playoffs? Obviously, this is the Cardinals' final destination is the playoffs and what they can do in the playoffs. But does a loss like this, I mean,
how much more character building do you need? You had a character loss that could have you could have said that, especially with the A.J. Green thing against the Packers.
Sure.
Character, got it. We learned something from this. The Panthers, you sucked. You didn't have Kyler Murray.
There's nothing we learned from the Panthers loss.
Don't overlook any opponent. That's for dang sure.
For sure.
And hey, come back next time you're at State Farm Stadium and play better. I mean, how many more character losses can you have? I don't think they need any more.
We have at least 2 more potential but it doesn't stop us from getting. I'm just relax. It doesn't. I don't want 2 more. I'm saying we have 2 more potential before we get into the playoffs. That still gives us a chance to get our mind set right. this is a team that hasn't won consistently at the end of the year.
Yeah.
They're figuring out how to do that. They're still figuring out how to win in the late stages of the fourth quarter of the season. And the coach is still figuring out how to practice the guys, how to get their mind ready.
And I like how you said that, by the way, the fourth quarter of the season, which is very much so like a game where you can be ahead early on, but if you blow it in the fourth, you know what I mean? You're not winning games.
You could be SOL if you.
Yeah, right.
And this is a moment where your momentum was strong, and then now you have to figure out how to finish these games and finish the fourth quarter. Everyone right now we talked about said, somebody asked me a question about the Lions. We playing them next. They got one win. I said, the Lions might be figuring something out on how to win. The first 10 games they didn't know what to do. And
they're not figuring out how to beat the Arizona Cardinals because, my God.
I'm just saying, but that's the stuff. So, look, it's very frustrating for everyone right now. We didn't expect this considering, I said it earlier in the program, I said Green Bay came in with the same scenario. They had a bunch of guys that was out because of COVID. They had a bunch of situations that you felt like this would be an easy win. We thought the same thing about the Rams, but game planning, putting your guys in the best position to attack an opponent that you know is really good, and you found a couple of weaknesses that gave yourself a chance to use your talent. And these guys, look, Cooper Kupp, 13 catches. OBJ, a couple of catches. OBJ with a touchdown. And these guys just kept moving the ball defensively. Bring two guys upfield. Don't let Kyler get outside. As much as they tried, he still was able to get outside and make plays.
Right.
But it was a moment where it didn't cost them another 30 points that put them behind. And again, they waited for a moment and it happened. So that's just I didn't expect this. I didn't expect this loss, but it is one of those ones that we just got outplayed and outcoached, and the better team showed up tonight.
Hey guys, you got a super chat here from Elon. Elon here. Hold
Elon.
my hand through this loss.
Elon, we are here for you. We are here for all of you who are joining us on YouTube and in the chat. We appreciate the super chat, Elon, as always. It's a tough one. We are still kind of wrapping our heads around how this all happened, but Frank, to your point, I would give a lot of credit to Sean McVay, and I think it tells us something about the Rams locker room, because we've given credit to the Cardinals locker room when they've gone through adversity throughout the year, saying, man, they lost their head coach, or they lost a whole bunch of players, whether it be COVID or injuries or whatever the case is, but they rallied. They didn't skip a beat. They rallied around it and used it as momentum and fuel. And especially in that Browns game, I remember guys saying, hey, the more losses that we had, and the Rams kind of had a similar week where it was like one loss to COVID, more losses to COVID, more losses to COVID on game day, which was Jalen Ramsey, right? Yeah. And I remember some of the Cardinals after that Browns game, which was the same exact situation, they're like, the more people that we heard that we were losing, the more it just motivated us even that much more. And so the Rams had a lot to play for. They didn't want to get swept by the Arizona Cardinals. Right. And there were a lot of guys that were still searching for statement wins, Matthew Stafford being one of them. So you got to give credit to the Rams locker room, to Sean McVay, and the way that they showed up despite all the adversity that they were facing.
Well, I said before the game that the Cardinals needed to watch out for the Rams because they were going to play desperate, but they didn't really play desperately. They had a good game plan. It was effective, and it worked against the Cardinals. They just had more to lose as far as this loss than the Cardinals did, right? The Cardinals are still
for their postseason hopes.
Exactly, right. So it's like they have more on the line, and honestly, they're a team. They've added some key pieces that haven't really immediately turned out to be successful with the team, right? But it's additions in the middle of the season. These guys still need to acclimate themselves to the team. They need to learn plays. They need to learn all sorts of stuff. That's still a very dangerous team in the Rams, and they proved it tonight against the Cardinals.
Well, let's take a little bit of a breather. Woosah for 2 seconds here. We are all wearing some awesome PHNX shirts. Frank and I have our favorite one. I think this is my favorite,
this
right?
Is mine
yeah.
Too.
So we've got the Cardinals standing on the football. You have
I got the gray flag one on.
A black and gray PHNX.
That's right.
Just kind of generic, goes with anything t-shirt. If you love what you're doing here, you want more of it, you can go ahead and sign up to be a member at gophnx.com. You're going to get a free t-shirt when you do. So we appreciate everybody being here. We support you. You support us here on this post-game show. And, we appreciate all of you guys sincerely. And, again, if you just want kind of just a little bit more from us, all of our written articles, become a member of our Discord as well, get to chat with us. You can become a member at gophnx.com and get yourself a free t-shirt.
Yeah.
All right, Frank, why don't we turn to Frank's turning point in the game? So for you,
Frank
my
did
man,
not get his fishbowl, by the way, so that might have been the turning point. Yeah, for real.
Well, it would have been a turning point. The fishbowl was sangria, and we're not drinking a
decided
gallon.
against the gallon of wine.
Yeah, we talked about, we're going to get Frank a fishbowl while we're watching this game because they've got him here. Little did we know, we went to go order one, and it was sangria. We don't want any
Frank
part of
would have
that.
been naked. He would have been butt naked.
If we would have won and a sangria had been a splash of pool back then, I think a bunch of other Cardinal fans would have too. Look, my turning point of the game is honestly what happened at the beginning of the second half. Third quarter, the Rams come out and get 2 touchdowns. And that I literally thought, this is what I thought. I thought we went 13-13 into the halftime. Look, the last drive of the half of the second quarter that Kyler Murray put together with 38 seconds to go in the game was absolutely amazing to get us a kick to tie the game to be 13-13.
Yeah.
My turning point is that I thought because we're a home team playing against the Rams, and that once they come out the second half, they will not be the same team, and that we would take ownership of the second half of the game. It did not happen. They came out and got 2 touchdowns back-to-back. Well, unfortunately, Kyler threw a pick, but they came out and got 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, it was touchdown, interception, touchdown.
And that's the part was my turning point. It really was the end of the game was exciting, but the turning point of the game was really it could have been put away at that moment because we came up and gave points at the beginning of the third quarter. 2 touchdowns, 14 points. That's hard to overcome. We tried, but it was a lot. It was an uphill battle to overcome that.
Yeah, I mean they tied it up incredibly heading into halftime. So it was a whole new ball game in the second half, and the Rams were the ones that came out with the momentum, and the Cardinals just weren't able to make a comeback from it. Almost with that final drive, which Johnny just messaged me and said that Kyler admitted on that final play of the game that the offensive line thought they were supposed to spike the ball. And says it was a complete miscommunication all around.
Yeah, it looked like it. It absolutely looked like it on that last play. Guys were standing. They weren't even blocking. They were just standing thinking that the play had been called dead in some way.
That's what's supposed to happen in that moment. I don't know what he was thinking in regards to I can get a play off.
How do we get to this point? Against the Packers, it was a complete miscommunication. That was like after a timeout. Where are these miscommunications coming from? And how does it again, it was like another thing that should have been like, okay, why would A.J. Green's back be to the ball? What else are you going to be doing? And they had just talked about what they were going to do. Like, it was just a mind-boggling thing. And you get into another situation where it was like, well, what else? How could you not know that you were going to spike the ball?
I want to hear Coach Kliff say, I told him to spike. I would have been yelling, spike it, spike it, spike it. He should have been yelling in his ear, spike it, spike it, spike it, because you got that window of time to do it, and it did not happen. So, therefore, that's a situation where it just did not go the way we thought it was.
I'm not trying to bring up Bill Belichick here in this kind of situation, but I'm just saying you don't see a Bill Belichick team make that kind of mistake, right? And so that's kind of the difference is we've seen two big games, huge games where the Cardinals had an opportunity to win it or tie it in both of those drives, and there was not a calm, collective approach to hurrying up the offense and going downfield. It was kind of chaotic. It was chaotic in the Green Bay game. It was definitely chaotic tonight.
We have a super chat from Mr. Grimm. After tonight, is Kyler MVP talk over? Personally, I don't think it's completely over, but it definitely hurt his chances. I think between him missing a few games there, tonight's performance, I think he would have to have a pretty spectacular finish to the season to win that award. We were all talking about this is a big time game that would really bolster his chances of winning, and it definitely did not help him.
He's going to need 400 yards. He's going to need at least 3 400-yard games with at least 3 to 4 touchdowns in both of those games, in at least 3 or 4 of those games. If Matthew Stafford keeps on this roll, and I know everyone wants him to be, or the conversation is he's the leading go-getter right now, him and Aaron Rodgers, of course, they got TB in the back, Tom Brady on the back end, but they're not really talking much about him because he's just doing Tom Brady stuff. So Kyler will need to prove, and we need to go on a run where we lose none of these following games, and he needs to be the leader and dominate with his arm and with his leg. That would Mr. Grimm, that would put him back in the conversation. But tonight's performance and what Matthew Stafford just did, will eliminate him 100%. And you're going to hear the national media continually talk about that because, again, back-to-back, 2 games in the final game, and that's the performance. When you have a chance to be the man and you turn around, you throw the ball, and it's an errant throw,
right?
And then now it's 3 seconds or 5 seconds on the clock, and you don't know to spike the ball in that window. That is not MVP caliber conversation. That is not leadership quarterback conversation, and that will definitely knock him out with the media, I believe.
Mr. Grimm, this is coming from a guy that has $100 on Kyler MVP from the beginning of the season as MVP. The answer to your question is yes. The Kyler MVP talks are over after tonight. Sorry,
Are you
I
just
hate
bitter
to say it.
or what?
Maybe I might be a little bit better,
I
but
don't think it's like completely over. But I mean, he's coming between. The first thing that hurt him was missing the time, and ever since then, I just feel like he's kind of fading from that conversation.
Correct. I agree with that.
Fired up Chierstin is the exact energy all Cards fans should have.
She's angry
from
tonight.
Espo.
She's big mad.
I don't know. Some of this shit just pisses me off. Like some of the things that are just like head scratching. Everybody thinks it's so funny because I said a cuss word, but like
no, it's your energy. It's like he said. It's not just the curse word.
Yes.
You can say all the curse words. It's really the fact that you are as visibly angry as you are, and I think we all feel that, right? Like this was a frustrating game to watch. And like Frank said, it was that set. The minute we got in the second half, I think that there was a lot of hope, or at least belief, that they were going to come out of the second half strong, and they didn't. They shit the bed in the second half.
Can I, before I got out of the car in the parking lot, I was talking to a friend, Shanta Butler, and I was telling her, I said, this is what I think the game's going to be, and this is the game plan I thought it was going to happen. And I said, I expect right now we should be past this moment. We should know our opponents enough that this is what you're going to do, and this is how I counter it.
Correct.
I've always said the growth of the purpose of the tattoo is that he went somewhere with less and won, and this is similar to what McVay did, just out coaching his opponent.
Do you think the tattoo got to his head a little bit?
Maybe.
Absolutely not. But if it did, I will erase it.
It's Frank's fault. Cover that shit up now.
They didn't even have Jalen Ramsey tonight.
What can we turn this into? Turn it into something else.
The goal is,
it's easy to cover up.
Relax. The goal at the end of the day is to have a Vince Lombardi trophy on the top of it with the year that we won it, and Kliff still getting his opportunity to do that. This is still a really great effing football team.
I agree.
We're hoping JJ comes back soon. That leadership needs to be there. It needs to be established on this team. That's the little stuff I talk about when I say when you're losing your leaders in that conversation, the little things start creeping in, and you start seeing BS that you saw. And that's just the sad part of watching this game as a player. I know what it takes to do this, and this team is still young enough that they don't know exactly what to do, and Kyler has shown it, and it's just unfortunate.
All I'm saying is Ernie said that he was a absolute pro at covering up tattoos, so at Top Rocker Tattoo. It's not out of the question. Just consider it. File it in the back of your head, just in case we need to quickly cover that tattoo up.
If they lose against the Lions, then we definitely need to have a conversation about the tattoo.
We need to redo that. Yep. Jacob saying, you know what would cheer me up? Watching Frank rip shots.
If I do who?
Frank, they want you to rip some shots.
I mean,
let's go.
I mean, if somebody wants to buy a round,
Jacob, make it happen.
Jacob, we need shots.
Jacob likes to encourage alcohol, but we all know he's
broke.
We all know he's broke.
No, I mean, he's broke, but he don't want to drink it. He's like, cut me off. I don't don't encourage.
Mr. Grimm with another super chat asking, is it Bill's Coach of the Year award to lose now? I mean, I think it was. I mean, he was at the top, right? We talked about it. He surpassed Kliff just this last week for odds to win Coach of the Year. And they've gone back and forth in terms of saying, he should win it. He should win it. But in reality, Bill Belichick right now just, is definitely the front runner, not even close.
Hey, Mr. Grimm has brought up 2 excellent points that we really didn't discuss. We talked about home field advantage. We talked about winning for the fans. We talked about what it means for the playoffs. But 2 individual awards that was on the table tonight.
I brought up the MVP award at the pregame.
Yeah, did you?
God, Frank, it was on a graphic, man.
You did?
Dang it,
Mr. Grimm, I feel grimacy right now. Damn it. However, I still think I apologize. I probably was looking at my Hennessy at the time. I'm going to blame it on some other stuff. But
Blame it on the
Alcohol.
But the points are made where you start looking at the individual opportunities that was on the table, and tonight I think those two things are literally possibly washed away. It would take something miraculous or amazing for the next 4 weeks for these guys to get back in the conversation of the running of Coach of the Year as well as MVP candidate. And it's sad that the season you were having can be determined in this moment based upon their performance, and it's just sad.
And it feels reactionary to say that they both lost those awards based on one game, but at the same time, it's hard.
Well, they were fringe to begin with,
correct,
right? So they were
They're
kind
not
of
exactly
fighting
like
to
they
remain
were.
in
Right.
the conversation.
Right.
Yeah. So I tweeted out yesterday that Matthew Stafford has never won a game against a team with 10 or more wins heading into the matchup. I just thought it was an interesting
that's
stat.
over now.
I just thought it was
Right.
an interesting stat. Okay, I wasn't talking shit to anybody. I'm just saying, like, I was prepping for the game. I was reading an article on NFL.com, and this is what it said. They say it was like he wants to get his pass with the Lions off, like that monkey off of his back, and had thrown that out. He's 0-9 heading into this game. Now he's 1-9 against teams with 10 or more wins. So I tweeted it out, and my Twitter is blowing up right now with Rams fans acting like I was trying to troll Matthew Stafford. Like, I had just posted a 10-minute rant on how much Matthew Stafford sucked and posted it to Twitter.
Look, boys, facts are facts. They are facts. Facts are facts. It was a fact. Matthew Stafford had never won a game prior to this game against the team with 10 wins.
One person quote tweeted, I'm totally fine with people talking shit. One person quote tweeted and said that I need to stick to the kitchen, and that one's like a little bit much, like not funny, but
Really?
like people
Stick to
need
the
to,
kitchen?
people need to just grow up like a touch. Like, it's a fact. If you can't handle the facts, like get out of the kitchen, right? So anyway,
You get out of the kitchen, idiot.
you get out of the kitchen. I think that does not work right now.
No,
I think
but-
you totally
no,
It
throw it
worked
out there.
perfectly because I
That's
let
all
you
right.
know
We got your
how
back.
far that person's mentality is
Yeah.
dated. Get out of the kitchen. Ass up in the update. Open up a. Excuse me.
All right, so we mentioned that Johnny is out at State Farm Stadium. I'm going to check in to see if anything else has happened. Kyler Murray at the podium right now still, just finishing up, just basically commenting on, this is James Conner now, basically just commenting on Aaron Donald's presence and that he was everywhere. I mean, they knew all along, and they talked about it all week long about Aaron Donald and, of course, Von Miller.
So watch this here. So the effect of having Von Miller changes the narrative where you can't double him, because in week 4 we had it where we could double him,
These shots.
and you didn't have
These are shots.
and you didn't have outside.
Let me smell it. It smells fruity.
Yeah, it'll work.
Is it like a green tea shot?
Yeah, sure.
But look, just go back real quick.
All right, go ahead, finish.
That's the value of Von Miller. You can't double Aaron Donald because you know you have somebody on the outside that creates that kind of energy and effort that you have to go one-on-one. And then
Same thing offensively, by the way, with OBJ on there, with the wide receivers.
And so now you start seeing the effect of having talent and guys that can that adds to my talent.
Yep.
And now I realize, and so the guy tonight, Aaron Donald, gets three sacks. And again, we're trying to go one-on-one against a guy that's the defensive player of the year for the last 2-3 years, and he had an absolutely fabulous game. But that's the part where you realize that we didn't make the adjustments to him. We tried to just go one-on-one and feel like we had enough talent on the outside in our receiving core that Kyler can get the ball out of his hand. But the pressure of having Von there then brings the point, and you said Von hasn't had a great game, but it's the idea of having him there that made us go one-on-one, and then he ended up exploring.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what we were talking about earlier in the season. We had J.J. Watt and Chandler Jones. It's the same kind of concept. So here's what we're going to do, guys.
By the way, Jacob in the chat said he didn't want to be that guy, but he also said that third seed is still a huge step up from where they were last season. And let's be honest, that's kind of how quickly, like we were talking about earlier, our mindset changes, right? Where it's like now all of a sudden the third seed seems a bit disappointing, considering that they've held that top spot for so long this season. But it is still a big step up from last season.
Did we say Mr. Grimm's super chat? I paid for the super chat to make my points. Crud muffin, I can't read it. Why why make my own graphics?
Yeah, we'll get you your own. We'll get you your own
Mr. Grimm,
segment, Mr.
sponsored
Grimm.
by Mr. Grimm.
Yeah.
All right, here's what's going to happen, guys. I'm going to tell the fine folks a little bit about the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Then we're going to head into the second quarter of our postgame show here on the Perch, and then we're going to take these shots. All right. All right. So DraftKings Sportsbook app has a deal going on. I mentioned it earlier in the show. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the code PHNX. Bet $1 on any team to score in a game. You're going to win $100 in free bets. It is that simple. DraftKings Sportsbook customers can also get skin in the game with new same-game parlays. Combine multiple bets from the same game for a bigger payout. The more legs you add, the more money you can win. And best of all, DraftKings is safe, secure, reliable, and you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. All right, we are now in the second quarter of our postgame show. Feels like we should be a little farther along in the show, but hey, second quarter, here we are. And what better way to start off the second quarter than with a shot? I don't know who handed these to you?
I don't know, a stranger from the audience.
A stranger.
On behalf of Jacob.
Leo, where do these shots come from?
They came from the
Oh,
bar.
okay. Listen. I don't drink without
All right.
knowing where it came
All right.
from.
That's a good
All
point.
right, cheers to cheers. What are we cheersing to?
Next week.
Next week.
Cheers to
Ja-
moving on. Cheers to
James
moving on.
Conner,
Cheers to
yeah.
moving on.
Cheers to having short memories.
Yes. A gummy bear shot?
Sure.
It's either green tea or gummy bear shot.
It's very fruity.
It was good. Very fruity, lots of sugar.
Yeah.
I'll take it. Okay. Now we head into our crystal ball segment, which is the second quarter. I need a sip of water. That's really fruity. A lot of sugar.
Very syrupy.
All right, our crystal ball segment. What does this mean for the future? Anyone want to take a crack at it?
I'll take a crack at it. I think it means for the future that people will continue to question the Arizona Diamondbacks, and rightfully so. After
This is not the Diamondback show.
I'm sorry, excuse me, the Arizona Cardinals. Hey, I do Diamondbacks, so it's
They're
programmed
not
in my
that
head.
bad,
It's
Derek.
programmed in my head. I apologize. The Arizona Cardinals, obviously.
God, what was in that shot?
I think the Arizona Cardinals obviously are going to be. They're not going to get the credit they deserve, and like I said, rightfully so after tonight's loss. I think that they are going to, still have to prove themselves, and I think they're still going to be in the mix for the playoffs. So none of that matters. It's still just kind of like the national conversation on this team, right? I mean, they're not going to once again get the respect that we've wanted to see them get because they lost another big game, not only at home but another national game.
Look, going forward, it requires this team to revamp, revisit, and refocus. I mean, they're going to have to revamp their game plans and their mentality and what they're doing during the week. Why you're losing at home, you won't get that. You won't understand that conversation again until we play the Colts. Yeah. That's unfortunate, but
right.
Guess what? It'll give you a chance to revamp your mindset on what you did this week and what happened on the big stage and how you lost to the Rams here.
We also want to make sure that we don't have anything to do with some of this losing streak at home, right? Because Colts on Christmas Day, we're going to be back out here, and we want to make sure that they're going to get a win. Am I wrong? Why did you look like that?
I had to think about what am I doing wrong during the week?
He just had to. He had to think for a minute about how we could be affecting this. Were we out here for the Carolina Panthers game? Is the biggest question.
No, we were not.
Okay, all right.
God,
we were
was
not.
nice.
But we've got a Christmas Day matchup right here. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to be back out here. And again, if you guys are watching, you didn't come out this time. Come out for Christmas. We have so much freaking fun here.
That's right.
Well, they've got the Colts on Christmas Day, and at this point, we just need to make sure that we're not interrupting anything.
It's not us.
It's not us.
It's not us. We're bringing more fans to the party. We're getting them lit. We're getting them excited. Getting them full. We're sending them to the stadium. They're getting ready to go out and have a great time. Bird game, travel.
You guys are so confident about
everything perfect. We have no effect on what's happening on the field because when we send our fans over there, and when the fans get over there, they're excited. They're all ready. They're ready to tear up the next team.
They're drunk is what they are,
yes.
Frank, is
and
what you're trying to get out. Frank's
so
trying to say they're drunk when they get to the stadium.
But going forward for this team, I told you we need to revamp and we need to revisit. There's some things that we need to do just offensively and defensively, game planning wise. And then, the next part, man, look, it's going to be easy. I don't know what it was, but I forgot that fast. That damn green tea. But let me tell you something. Look, this team is in a good spot where they can revive themselves, man, from this loss, and they can understand that they're a good team. But it hurts. It really does hurt. This hurts them. And I know.
What were you trying to think of? Were you trying to think of who they play next, or when they play home next?
No, it was the 3 R's I said: revamp, revisit, and.
Oh shoot, I don't know.
And see, bam, there we go.
Revise.
So
it's that last 3 R's.
So whatever that was, look, let me tell you.
Reintroduce yourself.
They will do what they need to do. They will wash this moment, and then going forward, this is a young moment. We're trying to figure out how to win. I said it before. We're trying to learn how to win four quarters of football.
Yeah.
And we've done we've done well, but we haven't finished. And a lot of teams, like you said, we're the bullseye.
Yeah.
We're 10-2. We were 10-2. We're 10-3 now, and we're the bullseye of the NFC. And we still got Seattle to deal with. We still got Dallas, who's trying to figure out what team they're going to be. The Colts are not an easy team with Jonathan Taylor. And so right now, going forward, this team has to figure out what it takes to win in 4 quarters, coaching-wise as well as the players.
Well, listen, when it comes to pressure, you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't if you're the Cardinals. If you continue to win and the stakes become higher and the expectations become higher and you're continuing to raise that bar,
sure.
The pressure's on to keep that going.
Right.
If you lose, now the pressure's on because you better not lose again. And so this entire season, the Cardinals have had a ton of pressure on them. So it's kind of hard to say, like, because I want to say, like, listen, you got to rebound. You can't lose 2 in a row. You got to beat the Lions. You're going to beat the Lions. My God, you're going to beat the Lions. we're beating the Lions. And then come back and break the streak at home against the Colts.
Yeah.
I mean, the pressure's on at this point. Now you've racked up 3 straight losses at home. You got to handle business against Detroit and come back home and end that streak.
It seems like such a weird streak to have too, right? Like a home losing streak like this for a football team.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah, right. You know,
I mean,
and like Chierstin said, it's one of those things for the fans, right? Like it's disappointing for the fans to have this be the one game they came out to, have the Carolina game be the one game they came out to, and see, you know, this team. What's weird is this was a 7-point loss, yet it feels like it was a much bigger loss than just a 7-point loss, doesn't it?
Hey, Loto Capone said you need to have a 0-1 mentality. I'm with you on paper, but all week they will get questioned why you're not winning at home.
Wait, was he joking?
No, I mean, he's just saying.
0-1 mentality.
Yeah,
Flip it. You want a 1?
Well, no, you still just went out. You just had 1 loss. Just move on. That's the next game.
No, I think he flipped it on accident. Or is he joking? He's being a smartass because they always talk about having a 1-0 mentality. Like you're going 1-0 every week.
I'm gonna say he is.
You don't
with
want that.
Little,
you don't want that mentality.
0-1 mentality. No.
I don't. Look, LTC. That's what you're talking about. Come on, LTC.
Frank's like, I agree with you. Wait a second.
He's a rider with us. I don't think he's jumping shit like that with that kind of comment.
Loto Capone will allow you to explain yourself. Was that a little mistake, or are you trying to pull one on us? Like, what's going on, man?
Hey, let me play JV right now. Look, the Cardinals totally shit the bed tonight. This is what JV would say. The Cardinals totally shit the bed tonight, but I don't see any concern about playing the Lions. The Lions is 1-10-1. Look, let me tell you something. The coach is there. The coach is getting fired. We already know that. Dan Quinn's out of there. Jared Goff hasn't turned out the way they want to turn out, so we have no concerns about that. The defense is probably number 29th in the league, without a doubt, so we're not concerned about that at all. The Cardinals will revamp. This is JV, how he talks. The Cardinals will revamp, without a doubt. I'm pretty sure Kliff will overcome this moment and get back on the train.
More importantly, is it a away game? It's an away game,
It's an away game, so I know for a fact the Cardinals are 7-0 on the road. We stink at home, but on the road we're fabulous, and so I have no doubt that whatever we've been doing, we will consistently perform on the road better. Look, there's a guy with a Stafford jersey on who feels like he just won, but he's a loser.
It's a
Lions
Stafford jersey. Sticking out a little bit?
But he has a Lions jersey on. He was a loser in the Lions, and now he's going to try to ride this wave.
Yep.
Screw you, dude.
Hey, you got that out of the back of
don't. Let's get back to the point. Look, and back to JV's point, and the Cardinals will get ready to face a good Indianapolis Colts team with Jonathan Taylor, but guess what? We'll still come away to win and get ready for the Dallas Cowboys, who will probably be a foe in the NFC to determine where we get seated at. But at the end of the day, the Cardinals will wash this loss away and get ready and be the team that we're supposed to be.
There you go.
All right, let's head into our third quarter. Frank, you mentioned that the Cardinals need to get J.J. Watt back. So my cheers to you is to J.J. Watt because 12 News cameras. Cameron caught this this pregame warm-up. J.J. Watt off to the side, doing his thing, and Cameron Cox, the one to tweet this one out. So this is video once again from 12 News. So just take a look at it. Just sit there for a second and watch how focused he is pregame for this game. I mean, he oh my God.
Oh, wow.
Get him out there. Suit him up.
Take this, take that, take
Oh,
this.
my God.
Oh, that's it.
Take that.
Your face.
That looks like a man
Yeah.
that is on a mission to get back on the field and help his team. So he went through his entire pregame, several things, including he went over to the fans that was kind of playing catch with the crowd. And I mean, dang it, I love J.J. Watt, and I can't wait to see him back on the field, and I wholeheartedly believe that we will see him, and the Cardinals need him.
Look, that doesn't look like a man, like Jacob said, that does not look like a man with a torn shoulder. He looks like he's fully healthy. Thank God that he didn't end the season by going on IR. That was a great decision. We talked about it, that he understands that this team has all the ability to get to the next phase. He wants to take us to the next level. That's into the playoffs, as well as winning a Lombardi Trophy here. Michael Bidwell brought him with one intent, to be a leader on this team, and that's what leaders do. And he's showing this guys he's getting ready for the fourth quarter of the season.
Yep, absolutely. And I think the biggest thing about it is, like you said, it's the leadership aspect of it, right? It's at this point of the season, a lot of guys have ailments. A lot of guys are hurting in some way, shape, or form, right? To see somebody that tore everything in his shoulder completely to shit, and to the point where he absolutely should not be out there even doing what we just saw him doing right now, just goes to show, like, even if he doesn't get back out there, it still has to motivate the guys on the team. It still has to inspire them to give everything they can as we get down this home stretch and get into the playoffs.
J.J. Watt as well. Well, Elon Musk saying J.J. Watt just training to go to the Super Bowl. And listen, I mean, I think that he is well aware of what's at stake here. He has this team has the potential to make it to the Super Bowl, and he would certainly be the X factor that could help him get there. I mentioned, what the Rams have, and Aaron Donald and Von Miller, and a lot of times, you've got to double team one of them, which frees the other guy up. And I mentioned that the Cardinals once had that with J.J. Watt and Chandler Jones, and so when it comes to the run defense, something that we've talked about all season long, when it comes to rushing the passer, the pass rush was nearly non-existent. Would have loved to see them do a better job at that tonight. He would be able to help out with that, freeing up, other guys, and also with that run defense. So I think J.J. Watt brings this X factor that could help propel them to, a run in the postseason. And I think that's one of the reasons, he's a competitor, but I think he also realizes that, he has a role, and he could sincerely help this team potentially win a Super Bowl.
Leaders lead by their words and action. And when your actions don't match your words, or your actions you cannot act, but you're speaking words, it has 50% value.
Right.
But once if you can look at JJ getting ready for the football game and knowing that you got your dog coming back, it does something special to you. And I'm pretty sure, as a leader on this football team, when he gets back verbally and physically, it's going to change the mentality of this team. It's still a young team. I mean, this is a young team put together that is just talented as all-out get-up. They're just a real talented team. And we have to figure out how to win in these last seconds mentally, where you can go out and just dominate a team, but you're doing it physically, but you're doing it you're just doing it so well that they don't mentally understand that. Tonight we saw that with the Rams. We had no answers for what they was doing. Cooper Kupp, 13 touchdowns. Your boy, Matthew Stafford, no INTs, 3 touchdowns. Sonny Michel, look, the guy went out and ran the ball down our throat consistently. They had ball control offense, and they did what they were supposed to do. McVay out-coached us tonight, and that's what happens. But when you are putting yourself in position, this is a Super Bowl attempting Los Angeles Rams team that, Sean McVay had coached, and only added real pieces is you got a couple more added pieces. And this is the team that's supposed to be what the Cardinals record is supposed to be. The Rams are supposed to be 10-2, and the Cardinals are supposed to be probably not 8-4, but we probably worse than that, 7-6. That's what the naysayers had us at. Yeah. But we flipped it. We're better athletically. We got better in a lot of areas, and guys grew. Kyler got better. The coaching got better. Tonight we just got out coached. And look, this team will rebound and revamp. And I think looking at JJ, look, that's going to be something that's pretty special to have. This team has a chance to get to the Super Bowl. They just got to learn how to win and win consistently, especially at home. And home right now is their nemesis, and they'll figure it out.
All right, well, if you guys are tuning in on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. If you're tuning in on our podcast, hit that subscribe button wherever you get your podcasts. And follow us on social media at PHNX_Cardinals. We would certainly appreciate that. And it's now time to move into our fourth quarter, the final drive presented by Bird Gang Travel. And our final thoughts. I think we've kind of covered. What was that?
Plenty.
You got
He's got a ton.
All right, well, we've covered a lot, but not everything. So, Frank, you want to give us our final thoughts here in this fourth quarter?
Look, there were several bad players tonight. I thought Marcus Golden played his worst game I've seen him play in a long time.
Agreed, and we have not even talked about that.
I think Byron Murphy Jr. played his worst game as well. I don't think he lived up to what he was supposed to do. I don't think that at all.
I agree with that.
I think Chandler Jones
Well,
had
I don't
pressure.
think they put him in the best position to succeed either.
So I can agree with that. Marcus Robinson, the defensive back coach, was out today with COVID, so that might have their leader, their voice was not there to talk to these guys and give them the key points that they need. That might have happened as well. So that was there. I don't think D-Hop played his best game, and Kyler Murray did not play his best game. And that just, to me, is my final thought is that these guys will get better. I think that the coaches will see what the mistakes they made, not putting these guys in the best position. I think they will address those things. But these guys got to play better under the lights. And again, the more opportunities you get, the question was, what does these losses build? I always say this, when you lose, you learn. The winners get the spoils. They get a chance to go home and feel like they did something great.
Sure.
Even if they stunk and they get a W, it feels great.
Right.
Everything that week feels better. You just feel better about your life. The whole locker room.
It's kind of like
atmosphere.
It's the game
better.
against the Vikings, right? That could have easily gone the other way, right? But because it didn't, you go home feeling great about yourself.
This week with the loss, they will learn everything they did wrong because the coaches will be strong on them. They will come in and point out all things they did wrong, and they will show why this stuff happened. The players will take ownership of that, and they will get better. Going forward, moving forward, this team is one of the best teams athletically and just coaches. They got great coaches, athletic-wise, and they got great coaches. So I don't see this team holding their heads. But I swear, the thorn in the side right now is trying to figure out why the hell we keep losing at home.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Just to build on your thought, I would like to say that, the one thing about this game was that the Rams needed to play a near-perfect game. Yes, they were missing pieces. Yes, they were missing players. I don't want to imagine this game with Jalen Ramsey healthy and a part of this Rams team, right? But at the same time, they still needed to essentially play a perfect game in order to beat the Cardinals by 7 points. So with all the mistakes, the 2 interceptions, which could have essentially been 3 that Kyler Murray made, and everything else defensively, the way that they couldn't stop Matthew Stafford, I feel pretty good about this loss considering it was just a 1-touchdown loss, right? I don't want to look for positives in losses like this, but at the same time, you have to take away from the fact that this game, like we said, even though it felt like it was a bigger loss, like the deficit was bigger, it was only a 1-touchdown loss, and really at the end of the game, the Cardinals were in a position to possibly tie it. So I applaud their efforts, and Kyler Murray almost went for 400 yards even in a loss.
No consolation prizes.
No, I'm with you because again, essentially,
I know you're new to the show, Derek.
But okay, well, here let me beat up on the secondary.
He's on the Diamondbacks though. So
yeah, this was. Yeah, I don't fucking know.
He's trying to find.
I always have to find the positive. I have to accentuate the positive. But the
peanuts was warm.
I'll give you this though: the secondary
was on time.
The secondary couldn't do anything to stop Stafford, and that's something that's weird and disheartening to see. Like they didn't seem to have these kind of issues against the Rams the first time, but the Rams are a different team this time around, so that's something I think to keep in mind.
Elon Musk says, "Give me that consolation
I'll give it to you.
prize,"
Thank you for your super chat, Elon. You get the consolation prize.
No, that's not a super chat.
He just felt like it was because it mattered his point.
No, it's from earlier.
It's a super chat.
He gets it from earlier.
It's a super chat because I agree with you. So that was a super comment in the chat. There you go. Yeah, I mean, I'm walking out of this one. I think this is probably the most frustrating loss out of all three of the losses. When they fell to the Packers, I just feel like Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers are such a good team, and they could very well win the NFC. And so, and it was a fluky thing that happened one time. It was their first loss, so I said, okay, you know what? It sucks. It hurt. It was frustrating.
But it was a good
At the
game.
end of the day, at the end of the day, it was a good game, and sometimes you're not gonna win them all. We didn't expect them to go undefeated, so that's how I kind of like got past that one. And then it was the Panthers, and it was like, well, you were kind of convincing me that Colt McCoy, was his arm what didn't have the what do you call it?
You mean the arm strength, or just it was tiring out.
Sure, it was tiring out.
It was tiring out because of the multitudes of reps he was getting from second team to first team. It changes everything. So
Dang
it's
it, I wish I could think of the word that
his
I'm
arm was
talking about,
fatiguing.
Endurance, maybe that he didn't have the endurance with his arm to be able to continue to play more than one game as a starting quarterback and practice as a starting quarterback and get those reps and that whole thing. So I was like kind of convinced, even though he came back and won the next one. But I was sort of convinced, like, okay, well, it wasn't Kyler Murray, and they had Cam Newton back, and it was this whole thing that energized the Panthers. And I kind of wrapped my head around it. I was like, it sucks, but it is what it is. I mean, this one, and it's not like the Rams are a crappy team, but this one, I just felt like there was so much pride that they had on the line. And I just was frustrated. I just didn't feel like they performed to their standard. And, the standard is the standard. They didn't perform to their standard, really get any phase of the game. And they had no business, coming out like that again at State Farm Stadium. And so I'm as frustrated as I've been pretty much all season after this one. And I know the sky is not falling, but if I'm being honest here, this by far was the most frustrating loss to me.
I accept everything you just said with 100% accuracy, because in truth, I expected this team to be better the second half, and it was not. I thought that once you've seen the light of being under the lights and under a primetime moment like Thursday night with the Green Bay Packers, and they didn't come back out the second half that week, they didn't do good then. And then they waited to the last minute to try to win a ball game. And the same thing here. They came out again the third quarter, beginning of the third quarter, and shit the bed, and it wasn't pretty. And then here we are at the last minutes of the game trying to pull out a miracle.
Pull out a miracle at the end.
And that unfortunately is. I agree with you, Chish, 100%. Like this will be one of the toughest losses because they had so much at stake.
Right.
But I like where you primarily was that the fans will carry this loss for a lot longer than the players will, until something like Dallas shows up, that they can kind of rebound emotionally from this loss.
Well, not only that, but I mean, fans really want to see home wins. That's the bigger thing. But do we even want them to have home field advantage at this point when they can't play well at home? I mean,
well, Jacob at this point is saying State Farm Stadium, burn it to the ground. I don't know if we want to go that far.
That's a bit dramatic, but I understand where he's coming from.
Steve Keim. Jacob adding Steve Keim should have signed Frank Sanders for a one-day contract to cover Cooper Kupp. He's not a DB. Frank is not a DB.
Yeah. Y'all cut him off. Take his phone away.
Everybody's been having shots.
Take his phone away.
Tim joining in saying, longtime fan, this loss hurts, but this team is good and will bounce back. I mean, I believe at this point that they will, and that's the right attitude to have after a game like this. Lotone Capone saying if we still played at Sun Devil Stadium, we would be undefeated at home.
Yes.
So maybe not burn State Farm Stadium to the ground. Maybe just move them over to State Farm Stadium for a game.
Look, move them over to
move them over to Sun Devil Stadium. Sorry,
Phoenix Rising Stadium.
Oh,
I don't know, something wherever.
If you ask me about Sun Devil Stadium, I don't have a whole bunch of W's over there, so I don't know what y'all want to talk about.
Metal. Frank doesn't want to talk about the metal bleachers at Sun Devil Stadium.
I don't have a whole bunch of W's over there, so I'm just gonna walk on past that conversation.
Yep.
All right, well, we've got the one-win Lions coming up next week, and so that should be a thing to look forward to, just kind of flush this win. get a win, or plus just lost, get a win against the Lions, and then, hey, you get another opportunity against the Colts back here at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, and we will be back here out at the Lola for another block party. Again, we're gonna run it back for the third time. We're gonna have, our live DJ, all you can eat, all you can drink. We're doing giveaways. We were giving out shirts, doing raffle prizes. What am I missing, guys?
Bird Gang Travel gives out great prizes. They give out helmets, and all
Frank's
kind of
autographing stuff.
Autograph signings, man, that takes place out here. We get a chance to hang out with you guys. But look,
Right.
the food is fabulous. And when they say open bar, it's not like well. There's no well that you won't get a well drink. It's all Kettle One, it's all Ciroc, it's all Tito's, it's all Hennessy, Crown and Coke, it's all Jack.
Right.
Yeah.
It's none of that BS that, if you say you bought your ticket, you felt like you came here and got cheated. The buffet line is absolutely fabulous.
The buffet line.
It's.
He's
am I
right.
wrong?
No,
He's
you're
right.
you're
They
right.
leave, they
Sorry,
leave the
just-
guacamole completely unattended. I've
it's-
talked about this lots of times.
Fabulous.
But
The food is tasty.
that's right.
They
You
got
know what I
all
did?
kind of plates.
I cheated a little bit. So they have a nacho bar that's kind of separate from another section where they've got different food, and they had pulled pork sliders that you could create. Well, I took the pulled pork and made pulled pork nachos
Whoop.
out of it, and they were
Hey,
yes,
right
yes.
up there. Right up there.
What? I didn't know.
Respect. Respect. That's all I got going
So
on.
needless to say, we had a good time, and we can't wait for Christmas. We're running it back once again, and hopefully the Cardinals will have a better turnout. Once again, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, wherever you get your podcast, we'd appreciate it so much if you do so. And follow us on social media at PHNX_Cardinals. Make sure you don't miss a thing that we do. Go have a drink, put yourself to bed, wake up tomorrow morning. Tomorrow will be a new day. We'll see you later.